Hello everyone, James Wilson here. I just wanted to do a quick video recap of the 2020 election. One of the things that I will say, a lot of interesting things going on. I'm not going to talk about quote unquote fraud or anything like that. Unless you can prove something for sure, there's nothing you can really do about it. Hopefully, if there is fraud going on, that they can catch the fraud. So, but I want to talk about a couple of things and why I think Trump is going to lose this election, because he's going to lose. Okay. The popular vote, no other candidate has surpassed 70,000 votes. And Joe Biden has 71 million plus votes. It's going to be more, Donald Trump has had the most votes in Republican history. He might surpass Barack Obama's total vote count. Prior to this, Barack Obama in 2008 had the most votes. Okay, so I don't want to say okay a million times, but I'm just telling you, it's not looking good for Trump. Okay, so let's take a look at Pennsylvania here. It's ticking, in favor of Joe Biden. Right now, Trump has less than a 200,000 vote lead with 88% of the votes in. This is going to change, folks. It's not going to remain, he's not going to keep the lead in the state, okay? And as I said before in the other video, he'll probably lose by about 2%, and that sounds about right. He might lose closer to 3%. And you remember in my other video I said, Republicans are going to outvote Democrats 58-42 in the swing state of Pennsylvania, and I was pretty close. Okay, I was pretty close. It was 56-42, but in Florida it was relatively the same. And in Florida, they just didn't have as many mail-in ballots. That's why Florida went to Trump easily. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about, assuming there is no fraud going on, why Donald Trump lost this election. The reason why he lost this election is because of the coronavirus. That's why. It's not necessarily about how he handled the coronavirus. I mean, he could have closed the country down more, made the economy worse, cut the deaths in half possibly, but the media would have still hounded him on 100,000 people died and the bad economy. So it didn't really matter what he would have done. The reason why I say it's because of the coronavirus is because of the mail-in ballots. Okay, with the coronavirus, it created a quote-unquote need for mail-in ballots. Okay, so, and as I said in previous videos, with the mail-in ballots, it's harder for Republicans to win because it's easier to vote. You see, the Trump supporters, Republicans, they're going to go out and vote anyways. The Democrats, they need a push. Okay, they need someone to push them through the finish line. That's why you have these, the ballot harvesting and all these things that's going on, because if it wasn't for the ballot harvesting, and if it wasn't for the mail-ins, Donald Trump would have blown Joe Biden away. It wouldn't even been a close election. Like, if it wasn't for the coronavirus, Trump would have won. I'm not going to say it wouldn't have been close, but I believe he would have won. I believe he would have won states like Arizona. Okay, right now, Trump is losing. That could change. 84%. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about. When Fox News announced with 73% of the vote in that Arizona went to Joe Biden was winning by 8 to 9%. That lead has been cut significantly to looks like 3.35%. So it shrunk almost 2/3. And you still have 84% of the vote left. So it's possible. Now, if these are mail-ins, you can forget about it. No way Trump can come back in this state. But if it's just regular votes, he could win. He could win this state, in my opinion. Florida, they were very transparent with their voting. They were in and out. Very efficient. So we all know that it was legit. Okay. And in Georgia, Trump is winning, but barely. And if you look at Georgia and Tacoma County, this is what I was trying to tell. Oh, it looks like it's completed. It wasn't completed before. Okay, now it's completed. It looks like Trump's going to win this state. There's a Republican area here, but that's going for Trump. So it looks like Trump's going to win the state of Georgia by the skin of his teeth. And I was telling you guys about this before because of the mail-in ballots for Tacoma County. And so it looks like he is going to scrape by in that state. And so, and the interesting thing is Iowa, they were very transparent. In and out, Trump won easily. North Carolina, not so much. He's losing in the state of North Carolina. As I said, there's a lot of voting going on. Well, with 94% in, I mean, if these are mail-in ballots, he can easily lose this state to Joe Biden. So I think he's probably going to win it like Georgia. But, you know, as I said, it's interesting. Now, Nevada is an interesting state. You have Trump losing by about less than 8,000 votes. And this is a state that I picked to flip into Donald Trump's column. And it's definitely trending right. And this is with mail-ins, mainly mail-ins. You still have 25% of the votes that need to be counted. They're not counting the votes, people. This is a very weird situation. Typically, you count the votes. So this is not good either. And see, Ohio, they were more transparent with their voting. And he won it by similar margins to last time. And I told you he would win by about 400,000 votes. I was pretty close. 470,000. So that's not bad. I said he'd win by 8%. Right on the money. You can't beat that. Pennsylvania, I did predict he'd lose by a couple of points, and he's probably going to lose by a couple of points because they're still counting the mail-in ballots. Okay. Texas, they were very transparent. I knew that he was going to win Texas. By that margin, I thought, yeah, that sounds about right. But it did trended left a little bit. And what's interesting about this state is about a 660,000 vote lead. Last time it was 800,000, so he lost a little bit of voting. But what happened is the Republicans, we knew what was going to happen. We knew that they were going to go out and vote. We knew that the Democrats were going to go out and vote and try to vote him out. So we went ahead, we decided to ramp up the voting. And that's exactly what happened. And there was a lot of voting in Texas this time around. But I knew that he was going to win that state. Wisconsin, the interesting thing about Wisconsin was Trump was leading the state by 4 to 5 points consistently throughout the night. Before I went to bed, Trump had over 1,500,000 votes, and I said, well, he should win this then. He has a 100,000 vote lead. Joe Biden is not doing well, and it said 95% in. Now Joe Biden has the lead. So this is a little bit sketchy in my opinion. As I said, I'm not going to talk about possible fraud. They have to prove it. But this is a lot of voting. There's a lot of weird stuff going on in this election. I can tell you that right now. And they said that, well, I heard some people say there's more votes than registered voters, and then I heard it was 90% of the people participated. That's a lot of participation. So, I don't know. You know, um, I knew this was going to be a close election. I knew that Michigan, look at Michigan. Trump lost by a little over 100,000 votes. I thought he'd lose by a point. He lost by a couple of points. So I was pretty close on that. Nevada could still flip. So I might be right on that state. I do think Wisconsin's very interesting. I feel that there's something sinister going on with all that voting. That's a lot of voting in that state. So, but as I said, I mean, what's going to happen, this is what's going to happen. Pennsylvania's going to flip to Joe Biden. Nevada could go either way. Once Pennsylvania's flipped to Joe Biden, it doesn't matter. North Carolina and Georgia is going to stay with Trump. And so, I mean, as I said, what's the probability of Trump winning? Probably 2% right now. I'm going to give him 2%. I'm going to give him 1% just winning outright. Like if he won, let's say Nevada, because it's so close, if he was able to flip that state and somehow hold on to Pennsylvania, he would win the election. I just don't see that happening because with 88% of the vote in, it looks like they counted about half the votes, and Trump was leading by about 700,000 votes. I'm just telling you, Trump was ahead by about 700,000 votes. And maybe it was 65%. It was something like that. But he's gonna lose by at least 100,000, maybe more like 200,000, because it is gonna, you know. As I said, I'm not going to talk about possible fraud or anything like that. I just wish that they counted the mail-ins first, like Florida did. They made it more transparent. That's the issue that I have with Pennsylvania. They did not make it transparent enough. And that goes the same with Nevada. They're not making it transparent. And, you know, those two states, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and obviously Wisconsin. Wisconsin's very interesting, and also Michigan. Michigan went for Joe Biden, but look at the high numbers. I mean, last time Trump had 2,200,000-something, and then Hillary had 2,200,000-something. That's just a lot of voting. And as I said, I think this is mainly because of the coronavirus. I mean, assuming that it's a legitimate election, that the votes were all accurate. The reason why Trump lost was because of the mail-ins and the coronavirus. I mean, it was his to lose. He couldn't have done anything differently to make it better. You know, if he would have done the mask mandates and all that stuff, it would just made his supporters upset with him, so they wouldn't show up to vote. If he would have closed down the country more, then the economy would have been terrible. And they were talking about how bad he is with the economy. If he cut the deaths in half somehow, and he had to close the country down more. People, I mean, it didn't matter how he did it, what he did. Okay, The thing is the virus is what killed him. Assuming that it's a legitimate election, it wasn't the riots, it wasn't the protest, it wasn't all that stuff. You know, the law and order deal. It wasn't because of that. It wasn't because of health care. I know someone was talking about health care. It's because of the virus. Okay, it's because of the virus and the mail-ins and the high voter turnout. For Democrats. They think it would be better with Joe Biden. And Trump, you could talk about his Twitter and the fact that he says some of the stuff that he says, and some of it is not good. I mean, some of it's just, he didn't have to say it, but his Twitter account and all this, that did create a lot of supporters as well, but it created a lot of people that hated him. But I don't think that's what caused him to lose. I think what caused him to lose was the coronavirus. If we didn't have the coronavirus and the economy was doing well, it was predicted to do well. So if we didn't have that and the economy was doing well, yeah, people wouldn't have liked him. But the people he would have still won a lot of votes. I mean, Trump would have still gotten, he may have not gotten quite this many votes, but he would have gotten at least 68,000 million votes. He would have gotten close to that. Joe Biden would have not gotten close to this number. That's my opinion. I mean, he may have had the same amount of votes as Trump or something similar to that. And honestly, if we didn't have the coronavirus, I do believe, this was my map previously, if we didn't have the coronavirus, I do believe he probably would win Pennsylvania. The map would probably look like something like this. Maybe he wouldn't have won Wisconsin. Maybe he would have. There's just a lot of voting in Wisconsin. But without the virus, I mean, he could have won Michigan. Okay, but he would have won the rest of these states. He would have gotten something like this if it wasn't for the virus. I mean, Nevada would have definitely went red. I can almost promise you that. Arizona, maybe that would have been for Biden. I mean, Biden so far has over 3% of the vote, but he would have won with the good economy. He would have won these 3 states, and it would have been fine for him. But it is what it is. So the this is the Chinese. If the Chinese did this deliberately because of trade and stuff like that, and I know that's a conspiracy theory, but if they did this deliberately, they were successful, because there's no way Trump's going to win Pennsylvania. There's no way Trump's going to possibly win Arizona. I mean, as I said, the only thing, 1% chance that he wins legitimately, 1% chance that he wins through the Supreme Court if they can prove some type of fraud. But other than that, there's a 98% chance Biden's going to be the next president. So I'm pretty much going to say Biden's going to be your next president. So, and who knows how long that's going to last with his age. He may step down. So anyways, let me know what you think. Like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you.